gentleman yields back. The gentleman from Maryland, Mr. Raskin, is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, Donald Trump's party of denialism is engaged in campaigns of propaganda and disinformation about climate change, which he said was a Chinese hoax, COVID-19, which he said would disappear by Easter of last year, the 2020 presidential election, which he continues to claim that he won despite the fact that Joe Biden beat him by more than 7 million votes, 306 to 232 in the Electoral College, and of course the violent January 6th insurrection, which he says really took place on November 3rd, and adding for good measure that the pro-Trump rioters greeted our police officers with hugs and kisses, which is presumably how more than 140 of them ended up injured with broken noses, necks, vertebrae, arms, legs, and so on. Trump's party has turned the denial of facts, science, and history into standard operating procedure, and we see the ideological machinery of lies working overtime today. But as astronomer Neil deGrasse Tyson has observed, the great thing about science is that it's true whether or not you believe in it. So they don't believe in science, facts, or the U.S. Constitution. They don't believe in our elections anymore. They've positioned themselves outside of the constitutional order, attacking our constitutional order. But we believe in science and facts and the Constitution. Now, the Lancet report on the health effects of climate change told us last week that this is a civilizational emergency right now, not in the future, today. Rising temperatures, says the Washington Post, have led to higher rates of heat illness, causing farm workers to collapse in the fields and elderly people to die in their apartments. Insects carrying tropical diseases have multiplied and spread towards the poles. The amount of plant pollen in the air is increasing, worsening asthma and other respiratory conditions. And on, record drought, record flooding, record forest fires, record hurricanes of increasing frequency and velocity. We cannot afford any more propaganda campaigns by corporations subsidized by the government against public policies designed to save humanity. The First Amendment does not protect fraudulent commercial speech, despite everything you heard today. You can go back and check out McIntyre versus Ohio Elections Commission, stating clearly that the government may and does punish fraud directly. Check out the Central Hudson case, declaring that if commercial speech is fraudulent, it is no longer protected by the First Amendment and it may be regulated by the government. Mr. Lawler, do you accept that the First Amendment does not accept fraudulent commercial speech?
Sir, I just wouldn't say that I'm an expert on that particular topic.
Mr. Wirth, do you accept that the First Amendment does not protect fraudulent commercial speech?
Congressman, I am not a constitutional scholar, and I would trust those who are.
Ms. Watkins, do you accept that the First Amendment does not protect fraudulent commercial speech?
Congressman, I'm not an expert on the legal aspects of this. I'm sorry.
Well, Mr. Woods, your company has filed several briefs about this, trying to use the First Amendment as a sword in litigation against Massachusetts Attorney General Healey. Do you accept that the First Amendment does not protect fraudulent speech?
I'm not a lawyer, sir.
Are you aware of the litigation that Exxon brought against Healey in federal district court in Texas?
I'm aware that we've had several suits filed against us, and we've hired lawyers to defend our rights.
Well, look, use your common sense, and I appreciate the fact you're not a lawyer, but using your common sense, do you think that a company has the right to lie, for example, about climate change and then use the First Amendment as a camouflage and a shield against litigation?
I don't believe companies should lie, and I would tell you that we do not do that.
But leaving that aside, because there might be a factual dispute on that particular contention, but do you believe if a company were to lie in commercial speech about something like climate change, it should not be protected by the First Amendment?
I don't believe companies should lie.
Okay, and what if a company were to lie? Is that protected by the First Amendment?
I think the legal system and our court systems are designed to deal with those types of issues.
Well, yes, indeed. In fact, you filed a brief in San Francisco versus Exxon, filed in Texas District Court. And I'd like to submit for the record the opinion by New York District Court Judge Valeria Caproni dismissing Exxon's First Amendment claims. I would hope as we
Without
move
objection.
forward, thank you, Madam Chair. I would hope as we move forward, every person in America and every person on earth has an interest in us defeating this climate nightmare. And I would hope that the corporations, which have received a lot of beneficence, a lot of bounty from the U.S. taxpayers, at the very least would not lie about climate change and would not try to drape themselves in the First Amendment in order to protect